Feelings for me when I first started surfing were feelings of joy. This is absolutely amazing, this is a great thing, I'm in the sea, but trying to catch the waves was very frustrating for quite a while. After leaving school, I tried to get in the Royal Marines and I couldn't get in because I was too short by a quarter of an inch, and I was gutted, but I still had a yearning for military life. So I went into the Royal Armoured Corps and joined up with the Queen's Royal Irish Hussars and served for 6 years. In 1991, we heard the news that everything was going to kick off over the desert to do with Iraq and Kuwait. And that was it. Before we knew it, we were out to the desert. We started to realise it's really serious and we're going to be doing our job. But there was a huge sense of excitement as well. All the years of training to a very high standard, we were going to be able to put that into practice. Looking back now, I guess, you know, we were young and I guess, you know, we were looking forward to doing that. But when you actually do it and put that stuff into practice and you are, you know, you're there amongst it and you're taking lives, saving lives, taking prisoners, seeing the crap stuff that war produces, that then has the knock-on effect with all the guys. Surf Action is a CIC company, which is a community interest company. We're working mainly to support combat veterans and their families. The trauma of war, I'm not actually putting my hand up and saying surfing cures it, but what it does do is give you a little respite and changes the state of mind. Operation Cornish Wave was a bunch of guys coming down from Hasler Company, from Plymouth. We hooked up at Poleseth Beach and we taught them to surf and got them in the water, and it was just amazing.
The ones that we've got here today I've actually met for all the wrong reasons. They've been injured in Afghanistan. Some of them I operated on while I was out there, some of them I've met since we've been back home. And my last deployment back in 2008 was to Camp Bastion. And it was in that time that, with the exception of one of them, that these guys were injured.
The first day was the fitting of 10 brand new wetsuits, which Gull supplied.
We've lopped a couple of arms and a couple of legs off. We've adapted the bottom end with some bag ties so that they fit the various guys that have been injured. They range in age from 19 through to 29. We've got 2 double amputees, both with an arm and a leg missing. We've got 2 guys who are missing legs below the knee. We've got a lad who suffers from post-traumatic stress disorder. So we've got a fair selection of injuries, both physical and mental. When we talk about the amount of effort that is required, if you're an above-knee amputee on one side only, they talk about having a 3-to-1 effort ratio. So it's 3 times more effort to walk with an above-knee prosthesis than it is if you've got an able-bodied person. So when we stick single or double amputees in the water, the amount of effort that is required to actually do what we take for granted is phenomenal.
There was a few aches and pains. It does take a toll. They're not used to being in the ocean, being battered by the waves. They're not used to being on surfboards. But they're all Marines, and it seems that Marines have got a lot of guts. If they want to do something, they're going to do it.
Surf Action were great because they turned up with a team of dedicated guys that are surfers. Lots of them, in fact most of them were ex-military, some were still serving military, and therefore they took these guys under their wing and taught them to surf.
In the services, you're in situations where you have to rely on your friend to watch your back, to possibly save your life. Everyone that I'm working with at the moment for Surf Action has been through that scenario. There's a huge bond and a huge trust there.
Being ex-military or military themselves, they've actually managed to pick up on some of the problems they think the boys might have had and help the boys through. All these guys, you know, they've all been injured fairly recently within the last couple of years. I mean, PTSD crops up years and years sometimes. So it's been a really good experience, both from the surfing and the psychological support point of view. One of the things before we started was a couple of them were very self-conscious about the way they look, and they thought, you know, being carted off into the water and dragged around with an arm and a leg missing might not be quite for them. But I think at the end of the day, when they're all together as a big group, they don't notice that, because when you put like-minded people together, they just get on with it. And actually, I think most of them were very surprised of how well they fitted into a wetsuit, the water, and then to a board. To actually see them having a good time in the surf, and then we go and debrief, it's been a fantastic experience. Seeing how much effort they put in, and in response to that effort, how much to a thrill and how much enjoyment they got out of it. I think to see Ben stand up on his one leg was just out of this world. Oh, they've loved it, absolutely loved it. It's been a fantastic experience, and it'd be great to do it again.
Surfing is one of those things where you do get to forget any stresses that are happening, and if you can go surfing with your friends, it doesn't get better than that. The spirit of surf action is purely the fact that it is from the heart. It's because we have a love of surfing. And we can say on to people, whether it's veterans, whether it's the families, whether it's serving members of the military that are coming back from Afghanistan or Iraq. If we can pass on the benefits of surfing and how good that makes you feel, that is a positive thing. Seeing veterans that have never surfed before, it's a very humbling experience. We had one chap who said he hadn't laughed so much in 6 years. You cannot not be touched by it. It's a fantastic thing.
What's happened through my own experiences, I'm now able to actually signpost the guys that are having problems today to the right organisations and the right associations that can help them. We just had a recent family day and brought loads of families together at Withyham Towers near Penzance and took them down the beach. What we're finding through surfing and through the beach activity is that we're bringing the family together.
The veterans have their problems within the realm of PTSD, but it's the wives and the families that have to pick up the pieces. So it's important for us to include those families and to make sure that they're not left out.
Guys that are suffering from trauma from being in that combat zone, they're very good at putting on an act out in society and pretending that everything is okay. And what we're finding is the guys at home are acting a lot differently. So the partners and the children are seeing every single day firsthand the problems that the guys are having within the home.
There's a saying that the family that surfs together stays together. All we've seen today is family smiling. They've all had a laugh. They'll go away today and they'll talk about that. And then the next time they come, we can then help them progress, and they've achieved something that's great as a family.
One of the guys in particular that came down on the family weekend, he came down with his son, and they'd been grown apart for many years now. We got them surfing. That relationship bonded straight away on that day. They had such a blast. Him having a laugh at his dad falling off the surfboard, and his dad seeing his son standing up for the first time on his surfboard. There's something magic about that. The families just had so much fun. The end result is happy families that are coming back together again.
We got a little name for Rich. He's the super fantastic man of the Atlantic. He's got more energy than anyone I know, and when he's in the water teaching people, that energy again is infectious. He's the best surf instructor I've ever come across, and I've worked with surf schools for years, and he has got more energy, more enthusiasm, more motivation. He's the most caring bloke that I've come across, and again it rubs off on everyone around him.
The nice thing for me being involved with Surf Action is the staff. Working with those guys is a pleasure because they're doing it for the right reason. The other thing is you get something special back. So when we see the smiles on faces when they come out to surf, that's what really does it for me, and I speak for the whole crew of Surf Action.